This is Off the Court with OG. My name is Kristian Cuaresma. If you're new to the show, welcome to the crew. And if you've been here before, we appreciate you for coming back. You know the drill. Each and every episode, NetsGC's general manager and head coach, OGKINGCURT, takes us behind the scenes over at Nets Gaming Crew, the NBA 2K League affiliate of the Brooklyn Nets. On episode 24, we'll ask Curt the questions that you want to know after the disappointing finish in the tip-off. But before we get things going, let's take some time to talk about our friends over at Zenni Blocks. Make sure to armor your eyes with Zenni Blocks virtually clear blue blockers. Whether you're streaming your favorite TV shows or playing your favorite video games, we know you're spending hours in front of a screen. So it's important to protect your eyes from any harmful blue light. Zenni Blocks will not only reduce eye strain, but also improve your sleep. That way you'll have all the energy you need to watch NetsGC throughout season 5. Make sure to follow zenni.com/gaming and also check out Zenni Gaming on Twitter and Instagram. While you're at it, make sure you follow Nets Gaming Crew on all social platforms. And without further ado, let's start the show. Let's get things going on Off the Court, episode 24. Curt, while, you know, I'm sure we both wish we were talking under different circumstances, I'm still really intrigued to be talking about, or at least diving into the aftermath of the tip-off, the NBA 2K League's annual start of season tournament. As most who follow this team and follow the league know, NetsGC did bow out early to Heat Check Gaming by a score of 52-56. I guess really where we can start are just to get your general thoughts on that game, it being a best of one, right? And the conversations you've had with the team since.
Yeah, I think it's funny when people always say best of one, because like I've been in some of the community spaces, like it's really no such thing as a best of one. Like it's just a one game scenario. But things kind of course, didn't go as well as planned. I wondered how Tate was going to respond, being a rookie and being his first time on stage in the most pivotal position in the game. And then also, Doc is very talented, relishing into a new role still. So I had my thoughts about, what potentially may happen and things of that nature. But defense came out as strong as usual, making it difficult for Heat Check to score. And a fun fact, Famous had never beat me. That was his first time beating me. And we kind of joked about that before the game. And, we was going back and forth and stuff like that. And, I was hoping that it wasn't going to be his first time, but definitely did. But like I said, we started out the game, of course we hang our hats on defense. If we can get the right amount of scoring from Doc and Tate, then we know that the chances are in our favor. And unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of offensive production, to way too many turnovers. Found ourselves, continuously in and out of the game. One particular moment, we had a 5-point lead, and I thought we were about to make a move and put some more space in between both of us. But, I think Sav had hit a highly contested 3, and then we got a turnover, and then they came down and tied it with a dunk, and then it was just tooth and nail from that point on. But another key moment in the game, we were down 2 in the clutch and forced a turnover, and Tate came down and had a mishap on the break, and that pretty much put the game out of reach. So it was tough. I definitely felt like we put ourselves in position to move on, but didn't execute down the stretch or consistently throughout the game. And Heat Check played a hell of a game. I mean, they had a hell of a tournament run. Hats off to those guys, and my guy Famous. They made it difficult for us. They made it difficult for the Knicks, and ran into a tough series with Philly. But Definitely an experience, a learning curve that I think Tate is going to grow from, Doc is going to grow from, and definitely, won't try to repeat that performance again when we make it back to Indy.
I'm glad we've already kind of mentioned his name a few times here. And Tate, the 19-year-old rookie, taken with the 46th pick in a draft that really only had 51 picks, I believe. One of the things that I've always been so impressed about with him is his ball security. For someone who's so young, he's got this ability to kind of really take care of the ball. It's been one of the team's greatest strengths. It's been one of his notable strengths as well. He was averaging only 1.5 turnovers per game headed into the tip-off bracket play. He ended up in this game against Miami with a season high 6 turnovers. I know based off conversations we've had off air, he's a very even keel guy. He doesn't get too lost in the moment, during scrims and just kind of in between games. Talk about what this experience was like for him, how he was after the game, and really, like, if he ends up learning from this, then despite the loss, can we look at it as a valuable trip?
Yeah, I definitely can. I mean, it's a fine line, with him being young and having these kind of growing pains. We talked over the weekend, and he was hurt. I mean, he was disappointed. And the thing that I like about it the most, over here we talk about honesty, hard work, and accountability. I mean, he took accountability for it, and he was honest with me after the fact that he was a little nervous. Like, I mean, and it's not unhuman to be nervous. I mean, and especially like that's, we played group play, remote, still that's like almost being in the comfort of your own home, and then getting to the stage and making no excuse, but there's been a lot of people who've been confident going to play on the stage and still didn't produce worth anything. So him being honest about being a little nervous, I respect that more than anything. And I think he's going to use that to fuel himself from this point forward. I mean, luckily for me, I have 2 veteran players in Steez and Shots, and they've been vocal about, getting the young guys ready for moments like that. And even with Doc, I mean, and the thing now that I think that Doc and Tate are going to take from it is that what they've been preaching and saying to them, they gotta digest it and understand that they're coming from a good place when they're trying to get them ready to perform on the stage. So I think he's learned from this, and he's going to take the right approach, whether it's in practice or whether, it's back in Indy. And he's going to go out and play his game that he's capable of playing.
Yeah, it's all about the ups and downs of rookie season and kind of just riding that development. I want to touch next on the vets that you just brought up. Steez, Shots, they were so spectacular in my opinion. Miami may have schemed the ball out of Tate and Doc's hands a little bit, but Shots and Steez still had to navigate through that gritty heat check defense. The duo ended with 40 of the team's 52 points and came up with so many like defensive plays down the stretch. I know it killed them to lose, but just talk a little bit more about their experience on the stage and what their leadership means to you, the rest of the guys, and the organization in general.
No, it means a lot. I think Shots has taken a bad rap for the most part in, what I've experienced from him. I mean, he's an intense player, a high intense player that's passionate about winning. And of course, our guys have a tremendous amount of faith in each other that we're more than capable of competing against anyone and putting ourselves in a position to be victorious. And the fact that we came up short, that was a little pissed off. I mean, and rightfully so, because at the end of the day, it's you're getting money taken out of your pocket. So we had a talk. Had a very good, productive team meeting and got everything out in the open and about, how we felt and our expectations of each other going forward. And I think that's something that I'll keep focusing on throughout this season. The one thing that I told the guys, and particularly the younger guys, is that we're all getting to learn each other under extreme circumstances.
Right.
So you don't get a lot of time to figure things out. Like everything's accelerated. So you have to be ready to take things, at a moment's notice and spit it back out, perfectly as much as perfect as you can. So it's not going to be moments where we're trying to, point fingers or beat each other down, but it's like, hey, everything has to be urgent. And that's a word that Steve uses a lot about just always showing some urgency and care and pride and different things like that, because the moments don't last that long. So you definitely, we want to make the best of every situation and just know that, we're playing for each other, we got kids, we got guys on the team that have families and kids and things of that nature, and everybody's trying to do something with their potential of extra earnings, and it matters. So I think being competitive is always the standard, but getting the W's is a primary focus at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then the W is really all that matters. And, we don't want to put too much stock into moral victories, but, just one final thought. It's for Doc to have only 4 points and go 1 of 7 shooting, Tate to kind of go through his struggles a little bit, and for the guys to still be within striking distance at the very end, super, super encouraging. And I thought it was really interesting that even though it's back-to-back losses, the way they came, Curt, was intriguing, because the one against the Knicks, the defense wasn't necessarily there, but suddenly the high-powered offense came to pick the guys up, and then we come over to Miami, and the offense isn't there, but the defense is there to kind of hold things together. So the team showing different flashes of what they can be and what their potential might look like. Moving from 5v5 to... I mean, it's a big moment for the league. For the first time ever in the league's history, teams are competing in a 3v3 setting. And in another league first, Curt, history will be made when pro players take on the best amateur players that the world has to offer. It started yesterday for some teams, but for NetsGC, it all begins tonight against Celtics Crossover Gaming. First question: what are your thoughts on the 3v3 format? Some challenges that may bring to not just on the court stuff, but with your scheduling and off the court routine. And I guess we'll just start there. There's so many questions I actually want to ask you.
No, it's definitely, like you said, a monumental moment for the league going with the 3v3 aspect of 2K. I have to admit, of course, I am one of the originators of the 5v5 scene. So I watched a lot of stage back in the day, never really played it. It wasn't an extreme interest, but I always had an admiration for the players that played it, especially the guards, being real jiggy with the stick skills as far as ball handling and things of that nature. So I know we're going to see a high volume of that, whether it's on the pro side or more so from the amateur side. And it's kind of funny to say amateur with the players who actually are pros at 3v3. I mean, it's some players that we're going to see that's all they do. So, I mean, it's going to be a tremendous challenge. I always say if you're competitive, you're ready for the moment and you're going to be willing to compete at all costs. Luckily for me, I got Doc, who was one of the, original stage heads that come from that space and community. And he's familiar with players in that scene. So it kind of helps us a lot. And then having Streets, being one of the best lockdown defenders in the league. And he's also played some stints here, 3v3 and stage and different things like that. So we're not coming in totally blind. So I'm truly confident in our unit that's going to be out there with, Doc running point guard and Streets at small forward lockdown, and then Shots and Steves will pretty much alternate at the big man. But we'll start out with Shots, and I mean Shots he can pretty much play, any aspect of the game. So I think we're gonna be in good shape now. As far as the scheduling, it's a nightmare right now because you don't, you got Doc going from one position to the next, playing on different builds of the league build, and still the servers between Central and East. So it's just right now we're gonna put our focus on 3v3, and as we see when time permits to start getting back in tune and warming up with the 5v5 aspect.
Yeah, I kind of want to just touch a little bit more. By the way, Curt just dropped. It's going to be Doc, Streets, and Shots as the starting lineup here against Celtics crossover tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. This is a first for everyone, right? And you had mentioned this is like the quote unquote amateur players. This is their world, right? This is their stage that the guys are walking into. Have you kind of gotten a gauge for how they're planning to approach it? Has Doc kind of inputted his opinion a little bit more? Like, what is the general game plan? Because I'd imagine there's a little bit of a feeling out process when it comes to this, right?
No, without a doubt. And I think, I lean heavy on him, but also, even though he's not playing, he's very knowledgeable in that world. Steve's, he comes from the stage and park aspect too. So basically collectively they're strategizing different things on offense, different things on defense, and things of that nature. So definitely a different game. It's going to be a different game to watch. I mean, bigger, only 6 players on the court, so much space, so much room to do a lot of things. So you got to be in tune. Everybody has to be on the string, especially on defense. And like I said, I like our chances. I really think that we're going to do fairly well in the 3v3. It's just going to basically be interesting to see the amateur versus pro aspect. This is, I think, the one time that the league players are band together and definitely want to keep this prize pool in house. So to speak. So it's going to be a lot of camaraderie for the next couple of weeks, and let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. And I think the locks in the league that normally don't play 3v3, I think after this experience, they'll be better for it, I think. And then once they get back into the 5 setting, it's like, whoa, it's not as open and deep of waters that I'm in, and I've got lots of help coming from either side. So I think everyone's going to benefit from it. I can't wait. It's something new, a different strategy and meta that we'll get to see on broadcasts outside of the whole 5v5 we've seen over the last 5 seasons. Let's see how, like you said, let's see how it plays out over the next 2 weeks. The goal remains the same, regardless of 5v5 or 3v3. NetsGC will hope to get out of group play, qualify for the in-person LAN tournament in Indy. The goal is always to make playoffs and win a championship in both settings. Curt, as always, I appreciate you for taking time out of your week. Any final thoughts or words before we sign off?
No, just everybody stay tuned. We plan to keep building, and like Kristian mentioned, on both 3v3 and 5v5, we're looking to be competitive and compete for 2 championships at the end of the day. I think we're approaching this no different. Gonna practice and go hard for the 3v3. It'll be a month from now before we get back to the 5v5 aspect, but just stay in tune and follow NetsGC.
Perfect. Well, Curt, again, good luck in the Slam Open. Let's talk again soon. Remember to tune in to all the 3v3 action starting tonight against Celtics Crossover Gaming at 8 p.m. Eastern. The official broadcast can be watched live on the league's Twitch and YouTube channels. We'll leave a link below to that, as well as the team's full Slam Open schedule. One final shout out to our friends over at Zenni Blocks. Make sure you check them out at the link, which I'll also drop in the description box. Also, make sure to follow Nets Gaming Crew on all social platforms. If you like today's content, feel free to drop a like on the video and subscribe on your way out. Finally, a reminder, Crew Access Episode 7 released yesterday, so give that a watch to see behind the scenes footage of the team's first LAN event at Indy. On behalf of Curt and everyone over at NetsGC, my name is Kristian Cuaresma, and this was Off the Court with OG.